We are live, Matt. Go for it.
We're just making sure. Can you guys hear me?
I thought you were going to sing along to that song.
I was going to sing along, but I didn't want to scare everybody away that just signed on. So.
At least give it a few minutes to scare folks away, right?
Okay, welcome back to session 2 of day 1 of the PLW. We are thankful for Black & Veatch and Merrick as our sponsors.
Are we cleared hot to get rolling then? There it is.
We've got codes of conduct which say be nice to everybody, play nice in the chat.
I'm waiting for the Ann McLeod God voice to come on like it's an SAME ball.
And here's our housekeeping notes and tips. And I think Matt is having trouble hearing us. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn things over to Sharon and let her lead the way.
All right. Well, Matt, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sharon. Can you hear me?
I can. Could you hear Jill?
I could not hear Jill.
Weird. Okay. Well, hopefully everybody can hear us now. So I'm glad Matt can hear me. And I'm hoping that means everybody out there can hear me as well. Perfect. Thank you for those of you answering the chat. Well, you know, it wouldn't be a virtual webinar if we didn't have technical difficulties. So it's all good. I think we're going to get rolling. Let me see. So welcome. Thank you for joining us to our leadership development and succession planning. If you guys have been you got all the tips on how to be nice and play nice in the chat with each other. But, you know, you guys are already the fabulous folks that I know you already know how to behave. So myself and Matt are here to present to you today, and we have a couple topics to go over, and then we're going to introduce ourselves if you guys don't know us already. And why succession planning? Good question. We'll go over that in a little bit. And there's many pathways to succession planning. The sky's the limit, and then we'll have some takeaways at the end. So without further ado, I'll let Matt introduce himself.
All right. I'm first up. Thanks, Sharon. And hello, everyone on the call. You know, the only thing that's a bummer about this afternoon is we don't get to see you in person, because having been to a few of these Post Leaders workshops, there's nothing better than getting together in person with this group of dedicated SAME leaders and just feeling that energy of everyone wanting to improve your posts, wanting to glean other ideas from people and take it back and make things better at home. As you all know, vibrant posts are what SAME is all about. And really, one of the fundamental aspects of that is having a good pipeline in your post to make sure that you're building a long-term plan that's going to keep your post thriving for many years to come. So with that, really proud to be with you today and really happy to be with you today and really proud to team up with Sharon here. You know, Sharon's been a hero of mine in the SAME realm for a long time. She's involved all over the place and always brings really cool, exciting ideas and energy to the discussion. So it's really an honor for me to be here with Sharon. And hopefully we can relay some information for each of you that can help you in some way improve your posts and build your pipeline for leadership. So without further ado, this is my About Me slide. I am Matt Altman. I'm an Air Force civil engineer, currently the chair of the SAME Key Leader Development Commission. And I'll touch on what that is a little bit in a few slides. And I'm currently the commander of the 47th Mission Support Group at Laughlin Air Force Base in Del Rio, Texas. So I don't think it gets any closer to the Mexico border than I am right now. It's really hot, but it's a great base here where we're training the next generation of Air Force fighter pilots. Well, all pilots, really. You can see my slide. I'm originally from Virginia. I am a Notre Dame grad, so if there's any Irish fans out in the crowd, you get special extra points for this discussion. And then you can see my SAME history there. You know, why I highlight the various posts I've been to is, you know, like I mentioned, Sharon and I have known each other for a while in SAME, and we've had many of the same experiences or job opportunities, but we've taken very different paths. And in the military, you know, we're often called to move around frequently, every 2-3 years, maybe 4 years if we're lucky. So you can see that I've had an opportunity throughout my career to be a member and leader in many different posts. So I think we bring different perspectives to this discussion today, and hopefully I can touch on a little bit about engaging your military members in post leadership. You know, we're a unique animal, and we're tough to integrate in your posts. because we're there for a finite amount of time. We may not have 3, 5, 7 years to get comfortable in your system, get in your pipeline, do the second vice president, first vice president, president, that whole thing. But we can bring valuable perspectives and energy to your post that hopefully you can find a way to leverage over time. So we'll give you some tips and a few slides on how to do that, but that's just me in a nutshell. Thanks, Sharon.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. That was rather nice welcome. I appreciate your comments because it's funny. I think it goes the other way around. I don't think you're joining me. I'm joining you for this session. So I appreciate the shout out. And it's funny how time just goes by. You don't realize how long you've known folks through SAME because you're like, holy cow, I can't believe how long it's been. But I did want to say, because I got so excited and got nervous in the beginning with all our tech difficulties, I don't know how many Post Leaders workshops I've been to. I don't even know how many for me, but I always find a way. You can ask Jill later. I'd always find a way to see if I could get there because it was always fun and always a great time. And I always learned something new. So I was always like, Jill, how do I get invited back to a Post Leaders workshop? And now here I am again. So anyway, I'm jealous that all of you get to come, as many as you want, because anybody's invited to this virtual event. So that's definitely a benefit of having it virtually. Everybody can attend. But if you haven't seen this photo before, I had to put this one in here because I'm getting as much out of this photo as I can because I bothered to get my 2020 ball dress ready, and then I got thwarted from wearing it in 2020. So anyway, for SAME, I'm currently one of the 3 national vice presidents. That was one of the questions during our little session there previously. And for Schnabel Engineering, I'm a branch leader of our Philadelphia area office. I'm actually a wetland scientist by education. And I put that next one on there, my jokingly, but here's my little commercial. I don't know that I'm a TV personality, but I was on Stonehouse Revival once before, and they were looking for houses, and we still had work to do. So if you guys have the DIY network, here's my shameless plug for check it out. Yeah, that's right. I'm on TV right now, Ian. There will be an episode on August 25th. You'll have to mark your calendars, 9 Eastern time. I haven't even seen the episode yet, so I hope I don't look like an idiot. But you'll see me in my house. And there's a little bit of my SAME history. I started out at the Philadelphia Post, and I am still a very active member at the Philadelphia Post. And you'll see the way I went through my pathway. But again, just like Matt said, there isn't any one pathway, and not one is right or wrong. There's definitely different paths. And I'm sure you all have had a story to go with it, how you got to where you are in SAME today. All right. Here's our first poll. What position, this so we know what you guys are all coming to us from. What position do you hold in your post? Are you the president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, committee chair, membership POC, something else, or nothing of those and just hoping to be a post leader? And we'll see what kind of group we have here with us. Let's see.
I'm trying to see how we figure out the results.
Start polling. There we go.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. All right. So we have a lot of, nice spread. Got a lot of others. A lot of president, vice president. It's good to see some of the other groups on here. Ooh,
that's a good mix.
Doesn't have a leadership position. That's awesome.
All right, we'll take your name and your post, and we'll make sure we correct that by the end of this this call.
Excellent. All right, we're just trying to get ourselves an idea of how we're all spread out. And I see we had 2 polls open at the same time. Sorry about that. But thanks for those of you that answered. So we have a good spread. Let's see. Whoa, I went too fast. There we go. Second poll. This is just kind of a good, fun start to the conversation to see if you can imagine how many people hold multiple positions in the post. You know, there's plenty of posts out there, especially small and medium posts that have several post leaders that hold different positions. Do you have any idea? And did we screw up all of our polls?
I think we may have jumped through them all.
There we go. Awesome. All right. So this is your best guess. What percentage of post leaders hold their multiple positions?
I'm going to answer my guess too, Sharon.
That's good. see if you get it right. All right. So most of you are saying 25 or 35%. All right. So see, you guys already see what the problem is, but the actual percentage is 10%. Excuse me, 35%. You're right. It's okay. You guys had 25 and 35, so you're getting close there. I got my percentages mixed up. So 35% of post leaders hold multiple positions. Do you guys see that? That's a problem because you have a small group of people doing all the work. So we need to spread the love and get that out and about to everybody. So that brings us into this discussion. So I'll let Matt take over.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think it's intuitive to all of us why it's perhaps not ideal that 35% of post leaders hold multiple positions. And in some respects, that's just how, that's the reality of many posts, right? You got a few volunteers that are very active and they feel the need or they need to get involved in many positions just to keep things running. But what we're here today to talk about is why it's really important that we focus and make a deliberate effort to build those succession planning pipelines so you can spread the wealth, spread the opportunity, as I like to think of, and ensure that your post is resilient and can last for many years to come. So why succession planning? I think first and foremost, it ensures that continuity of leadership and guarantees your post survival. If we're in a room right now with everybody, I'd ask for a show of hands of who here is a small post or a small or medium post. And I bet it's at least half this room, or if not more, in this call. And I tell you, it is absolutely vital to have a deep bench with a small post. I've been, if you remember my list, I've been in several small posts throughout my SME career. And if you haven't built a bench, if you haven't considered succession planning, then you lose one strong personality or someone that's covering 3-4 different jobs. They PCS, they leave, life catches up to them, and they don't have time to volunteer because we're all volunteer leaders. And poof, right there, the post goes dormant or needs some sort of an action plan to get going again. So it's absolutely vital for small, medium posts and really all posts. As it's no surprise to you, succession planning, bringing in leaders and deliberately developing the pipeline guarantees that your post, whether it's small or large, has this fresh flow of new ideas and new perspectives and leadership positions. It's great when we have continuity, and hopefully your leadership pipelines are structured in such a way that you can take advantage of continuity, whether you have board positions or other post-present positions and things like that. Excuse me. But having that fresh flow of ideas year to year with new leaders in the pipeline will just ensure that your post is vibrant and it stays relevant to members. As your membership demographic changes, your interests change, you're not necessarily stuck in the same way you've always done things. Without strong succession planning, those few martyrs, I like to call them, the volunteer martyrs who do everything, and they're great people, right? Because it's all well-intentioned. You care a lot about SME and you want to make sure that your post survives and you're doing great things. But those few people might actually be discouraging new people from getting involved. Having bounced around to about 9 posts in my SME career, it's hard to break into those close-knit groups when it's just a few people running a post. And again, very well-intentioned people, but if I roll in as a new individual, I'm really kind of intimidated to get involved unless you reach out to me and say, hey, Matt, good to see you. We see you've been at other posts. Would you like to get involved? And then you actually relinquish some of that stranglehold you have on your planning and programs and whatnot to let me show you what I can do. And otherwise, you're discouraging people and new volunteers from taking hold and taking a part of the post leadership. It also grows a multitude of capable leaders. You build that bench, you provide, more of a diversity of thought and experiences for people. I intentionally, when I'm trying to build a leadership team at several posts or actually on community of interest as well, I usually try to reach out to people that don't look like me. And when I say look like me, I don't mean this ugly gentleman in front of you. What I mean is somebody that's not an Air Force civil engineer wearing this uniform that has the very similar experiences to me. I like to reach out and expand our demographic on type of job, engineers, business development, architects, wetland scientists, and really broaden that perspective. So you bring in that diversity of thought and experiences to your leadership team, and then it translates to new ideas for your post as well. And finally, what I found to be probably one of the biggest selling points of the value of SAME membership and then post involvement is the leadership opportunities. It's a value. It's a value proposition that you can sell to anyone. And I'll say in particular, military members. We're all looking for leadership opportunities in the military, regardless of your rank or position. It helps you in your career and it gives you better experience, and then you can develop your own leadership skill set. And that really goes beyond just military members, but it's part of that value proposition. So if you can not only say, come, please be part of our post, but hey, we'd like you to be this leader in the post. We'd like you to have this position. And then over time, we'd like to build you to one day take over our post. And then, as we'll get into in a little bit, take over and grow and become the SME president in the future. So it's those leadership opportunities in that pipeline that you can sell to people that really becomes a primary value proposition for SME membership.
Excellent points, Matt. I wanted to add to the part about building the bench and the few that can discourage, and some of us, love to take things by the bull by the horns and just run with it. And that can be frightening to some of those folks that are willing to take a tiny little bite of volunteerism. So we don't want to scare off those folks that are willing to do a small piece. They don't have to hold 14 positions like some people do. So that's how sometimes those folks can discourage the others. So let's make sure we're reaching out to those folks and broadening it. And then this next one, this was, and I forget who to give credit this to, but long time ago I heard about, it's not about climbing you talk about a corporate ladder or such. It really isn't a ladder in SAME. It's more of a jungle gym where there are gaps and you can climb all over and have a great time. And the more the merrier, right? On a ladder, it's not so good when there's a lot of people. So if you're on a jungle gym reaching out and you see there's a gap somewhere, you can reach up there and climb up and fill it. And you know what? The people around you aren't going to get in your way. They're going to let you climb all over and you guys are going to have a great time together. So no matter what your pathway is, and my path started with somebody asking me, right? I went to the Philly Post for a long time. And then one day, right around election season, they needed a young professional to be on the board. And they said, hey, you attend a lot of meetings. Do you want to be on the board? And I said, I don't know what that means. I don't know what is required of me. And they talked to me about it. And voila, that was the first time I was on the board. And now they can't get rid of me. So, but I have rotated through the positions. So I'm still a helper, but I've made a lot of different places where I could be useful. And then along that same line with letting new people take over new positions is letting others lead. So if you've held a position and you loved it and you did a great job, you have to let it go. Encourage those that are following in your footsteps on how to do it, but you're not the one doing it anymore. So you need to make sure you're leaving space for them to lead the way they want to, give suggestions, give tips, but you are not running the show anymore. So you need to step back once in a while and let those new leaders take those leadership roles. And that's their challenge. And they will certainly reach out to you and ask for help if they need it. But otherwise, don't forget to stand off a little bit and let them run with it.
Hey, Sharon, if I could just go back to your jungle gym analogy just for a second. And I see there's some great comments in the chat about the 10-minute volunteer. And I agree wholeheartedly with how important that is. Much like you said, there's no one set pathway. And really, and kind of building on what I said previously about how sometimes people they want to get involved. They're just waiting for somebody to ask them and invite them and then give them a little bit of confidence that they can get involved and they can lead, as a new person in an organization. But it worked real well for us at the Minot Post. We had a great membership chair, Sergeant Travis Crable. And what he did, he would reach out to a lot of members and just say, hey, we'd like to get you in the post. We can give you a leadership position. And he gauged their interest of, hey, what are you interested in? How would you like to get involved? And how much time do you have to commit at this time? And based on that, you just create all sorts of different positions that anyone can have. And over time, those 10-minute volunteers build into the vice chairs and the programs chairs. And then lo and behold, they build into your second vice president, first vice president, president, and beyond. So it's that invitation. And then no matter what they say as far as why they're involved or why they wanted to get involved or how much time they have, you have to find a way to get them a position or some form of responsibility. Then they can build and grow and grab that that experience over time that's going to give them more confidence to step into those larger, more time-consuming positions.
So here's
I think
go ahead, Matt. We're both so excited we can't help ourselves.
I tell you, yeah, this is fun stuff. I say, it's tough stuff, right? As post leaders, I'll go back to particularly the small posts where you don't have as big of a throughput of people, but this is a fun part of the business. And if you can not only build a thriving post, but build one that sustains after you step aside, and as Sharon said, after you step aside and actually let your replacements lead, it's really a rewarding experience. But what I'd like to sort of impart on you, and I mentioned that I'm the chair of the Key Leadership Development Commission right now. And what that is, it's a group over the last year, and now we're heading into our second year. Sharon was a part of it last year before she became the SME vice president. And anyway, what we're trying to do is create more transparency to the pathway to SME president and to build a more deliberate process and pathway for all SME leaders to grow into national SME leaders. So as we talk about how important it is at your post level to build that pipeline and to have a deliberate process for succession planning in your key leadership positions at your post, what I hope to inspire you to do, or to just encourage you to do, is not stop at post president. For some reason, when I was growing up in different posts, it was always like this pathway to post president, and I'm going to do these things, and one day I'm going to be the post president. And then you're done with that, and you're like, all right, well, what next? I've got this great relevant experience that we can share across the entire SME society, but I've got no avenue to share it. So what we'd like to impart on you is build that pipeline to the post president, but then make sure you have a pipeline up to SME president as well. Succession planning does not have to stop at the post president level, and should not, for many reasons. The national opportunities, as many, and I'm looking at the chat group, I'm talking to a lot of you that have probably a lot more national experience than I do. But as you know, there's so many opportunities to lead and become involved and provide value and get value through national leadership opportunities. I've heard before that sometimes posts don't want to give up their rock star volunteers to the national. It's almost like you're giving them away and you're never going to get them back. But the reality is, those people that can go get that exposure and that experience at the national level will, first and foremost, they'll get incredible value to their own membership and their own experience and their development. But then as an even better impact, they'll bring a lot of that experience and that exposure and those opportunities back to the post and just increase the value to all your members at the post level. So it's truly a win-win. And as Sharon relayed the jungle gym analogy, it doesn't have to be linear. This is not a one ladder thing. You can go and bounce around and get a job in a community of interest at the same time as you're a post leader, or you can go be an elected director, and that's going to take up a lot of time, but then you can come back to the post and provide value there as well. So it's really important that we don't just stay stovepipe looking at the post leadership succession, but that long-term succession plan to SAME president. One final bullet in there about young professionals. Think about introducing and welcoming young professionals in our organization. And if you take that moment to deliberately develop them and show them that even as a young member in the society, young professional in the society, they have a pathway to be the next SAME president, regardless of what their specialty is, their background, their interests. They can get to be SAME president. I mean, what a message to send a new member to your organization. And again, another real benefit of having that deliberate process of succession planning. Next slide, please. I can advance it.
I was also gonna tack on there, Matt. I totally agree. And the other thing is that adding that value with all the other positions, like, it just keeps getting better, right? So if you're at post presidency and you're like, man, what, I don't want to give this up. Like, where do I go from here? You don't have to. You get to keep moving and keep shifting to other positions, and it just keeps getting better because you broaden your horizons, and not only will you have your past post president, but then you can move on to other events and other roles, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Hey Sharon, I'm in the chat box here, and I got a nice chat from Mr. Buddy Barnes, the 100th president of SME, And it turns out it's not just a pathway to SME president as well, because there's life after you're the SME president, as Buddy Barnes is going to be the president-elect for his post. He's the president-elect right now as well. So talk about the full circle there.
That's right. Thanks, buddy.
Another absolute hero of all of ours. That's awesome, buddy. So with the pathway to SME president, so what we also wanted to relay, in addition to having some conversations about what to do and how to help build your succession pipeline in at your post, we wanted to make sure that everyone was tracking various opportunities that exist nationally. So as you deliberate develop your leaders in your post, you can expose them to these opportunities and tip them off to things that they might be really interested in or might add value to their service as well. First off, there's a community of interest leader. And I imagine many of you are familiar with our communities of interest. There's all the different ones listed there, but a broad range of topics. And I tell you, they are always looking for people willing to get involved and lead. These COIs go through kind of ebbs and flows of involvement. Some are a little bit more thriving than others, but all of them need a healthy pipeline of leadership, just like posts. And if you can see there, it's not really hard to get involved. I've said the best way to get involved in a COI is just to raise your hand and tell somebody that you're interested, and they will absolutely welcome you to the COI. Yeah, and then you're in, you can't get out, right? So it's great, and there's obviously lots of different things. There's different groups like the Young Professionals COI into the more technical fields as well. But this is where you can be really involved at the post level, but still have your foot in national level leadership at the COI. You can see the benefits there. I think it's pretty obvious to all of us, what those benefits would be personally, professionally, to your company as well as you expand your professional network. And then, of course, at SME, it just builds your resume, if you will, that gives you that experience to then get more involved at the national level. So the best way to get involved, if you are interested in a particular COI, is just to go on the website and find their chair and reach out and say, hey, I'm raising my hand. I want to get involved. Where do you need me? And let them know how much time you have to give. These chair positions are usually 2-year terms, sometimes a 3rd year if they want to extend. And then you can see right there, it's about 100 hours a year for meetings planning. And then you typically attend most of the national SME events when they aren't virtual. So awesome opportunity to get your foot in the door nationally, and then bring that exposure again back to your post. The next one I wanted to talk about was the national elected director position. Sharon and I both had this opportunity to serve on the board of direction as national elected directors. What a phenomenal opportunity to get exposure to the board of direction and to really see how an organization of this size is managed, run, how ideas are vetted, the discussions that go on. Incredible professional experience. And I think this is one of your first real opportunities to get that, not only that exposure to where you're on the board of direction, and you vote on the board of direction, but you build those networks and you build some more real quality professional relationships across all of SME that then will open up doors to all sorts of other opportunities as well in SME. So we're rebranding the elected director position a little bit. It used to be that it's an elected position, and it used to be that you'd put all your SME resume, and then the folks who had the most experience get elected to it. We're trying now to tweak it a little bit, so it's really that, I don't want to call it entry level opportunity in the board of direction, but more one that we take active, experienced post level leaders and give you that opportunity to serve on the board and introduce you to what the national board of direction is all about. So I say that to say, if you look at the experience that's required, all you have to do is have served as a post leader. And it doesn't say post president, it doesn't say vice president, it says post leader. So every single person on this call qualifies to put their name in the hat to be considered for a national elected director position. So Sharon's doing the happy dance. The nomination window opens up this fall. We'll actually have another webinar leading up to that as well. But I encourage you, if getting involved more broadly in the national leadership of SAME is something you're interested in, please do consider putting your name in the hat for elected director. Sharon and I would love to talk to you offline about what this entails. You do serve on the board. You do attend the JETSI and Small Business Conference, again, when they're in person, and I believe they start in person this fall. And then you may be asked to participate in a national task force or working group of some part. But otherwise, that's it. You have to come prepared to the board meetings. You participate when asked for your input, and then again, maybe serve on a task force. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for your basic involvement from National Elected Director. So again, not a huge time commitment, but an incredible opportunity to get involved at the national level in SME. You see the nomination information on there. I highly recommend this to all of you on this call who are active SME leaders. Please consider putting your name in the hat. You see the bottom line there. Every year, at least one national elected director will be a young professional. It's in the bylaws. It has to be. And if I'm not mistaken, the last couple of years, there's been multiple young professionals elected each year to be on the board of direction as a national elected director. So tremendous opportunity for all SME leaders, and in particular, young professionals on your post. So again, happy to talk more about this offline, but what an awesome opportunity.
Yes, sir. And the adding to the elected director, it's a great way. You are helping steer the direction of the society. I mean, how much better can that be? So you have input, you can provide it at the elected director role. So the next one we're going to give a quick roundup about is regional vice president. I had the honor of serving as an RVP for the North Atlantic region. And these are all the regions, and we need RVPs in all of those. And not only is there an RVP, but there's a deputy RVP and can be several deputy RVPs. So if that's something you're also interested in, that's where you can reach out to the current RVP. You can reach out to your post president to say, hey, I'm interested in doing something like this. And really the role of the RVP is the liaison between national and the post level to help share ideas, to help share lessons learned, as well as the benefits. And it really is a wonderful position, and it's a great window into other posts to see how they're doing. And you can share that both up to national and around your posts within your region. And then at things like Post Leaders Workshop, you get to share it with other regional vice presidents. So it really is a fantastic experience. And again, you don't have to go this route, but this is definitely one of the other options. And one of the things I would say is I'm both talking about RVP and the national president and vice president roles that we'll be talking about next, is you can do more than you realize is really the take home there. Because, I used to look at all the folks in the national leadership team and be like, they're all untouchable. Like there's no way I could ever be in that role. And here I am. So I don't know if that's imposter syndrome or whatever, but I just have to tell you, don't be afraid. Do not be concerned that you can't be all of these positions, because you certainly can. If I can, so can you. So that's just, I won't read everything to you, but I do want to bring it to your attention that RVP is a very rewarding position that gets you to be that window into all the posts in your region and learn a lot and share a lot. It does have a little bit more of a time commitment, but again, it's a great way to get exposure to other posts, and you get to travel to other post events, which, who wouldn't like to do that? Go to see other people's events and learn from them and share it back with the other posts. And then one of the other roles that we wanted to talk about is the national president and vice president roles. Again, these are not untouchables for all of you. Every one of you have already proven that you are an asset to the society, the fact that you're here at Post Leaders Workshop. So I want you to remember that, and don't be afraid. Go after it, because you never know, and one of us, may just reach out to you anyway. So the roles of national vice president and president have a 2-year term with the vice presidency. And the national president is actually a 3-year commitment, because you are president-elect, you move into president, and then you have immediate past post-president. Can't stop saying that. Past national president. So those are 2 different commitments on those roles. And obviously you can reach out. I'm happy to tell you what I've learned. I've only been in my role for 4 months, but I know many of the past presidents, including Buddy, who's on the call here, and Cindy is the president-elect right now. Any one of those would be happy to share with you what their roles and responsibilities have been, so you can get a personal connection, get some encouragement from any one of those, because I know they would all be encouraging to you. And the nominations open up in December, same as when time frame for elected directors. So please feel free to review that. And again, don't be afraid. There is a video, but that helps people get to know you and your personality. And that will all be a benefit to you, even though some people shy away from the video. But it's a fantastic way to share your vision, your ideas, and your excitement with the other folks that are going to be voting for you that don't already know you. And yes, one of the other values that I do want to mention, and that was one that my company was like, oh, what? This is a national position? So that it's fantastic exposure, not only for you, but for your company and for SAME in general, because you've already been a fantastic spokesperson for SAME. So any questions, by all means, please let me know. And any of the other, like I said, rock stars that are on this call that are happy to share their information with you too. And here we go. Now that we've given you the window into all these roles, what national leadership position would you be most interested in? And I know I don't think you can pick multiple ones, but you can at least pick the one that you, oh good, somebody reopened it. Thank you. Which position would you be willing to run for? All right, look at that. Look at that.
We got some presidents
already. Fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, and there's 18 of you that said national leadership isn't for me. I beg to differ.
I would be happy to, for those 18 people, if you want to talk after the call, maybe give us a chance to convince you otherwise. But it's good that there's a good range of other people. Something I didn't mention that Michelle pointed out in the chat is that the COI chair positions are also on the board of directions. So again, you kind of get the benefit of the other positions. You get that broad technical experience or your other group, and then you're part of the board of direction as well.
So I will have to say thank you for answering the poll, and thank you for volunteering, because we're going to look back at these lists and see who responds to those things. So you never know if one of us might be reaching out to you, because we've just now helped build the national pipeline because of all of you answering the poll. Woohoo! You didn't think you were
well played.
Anyway, really, it does help. It knows. It was a very anonymous way, or you thought it was anonymous, to suggest maybe I'm interested, but I don't know. And again, obviously there's going to be hesitancy. I also had hesitancy, but I had folks that reached out to me, encouraged me, asked me, and again, here all of a sudden, here I am, a national vice president. So you never know. So do the same kind of thing. Kind of introduce these roles at your post level. See how it goes. See how it it sparks some interest. And ask, just say, how many of you would be interested in this, or the other thing, and that's where you want to make sure and you back up. Like if you've had the secretary there for like 7 years, you want to be like, all right, we want to change it up. We want to, move other folks into these roles. If you have ideas that we've not been doing, or, it's a great way to change it up. So, and that's encouraging the growth of the entire post, not just the pathway to the president, everything, the COI, your own community of interests at your post level, your own committee chairs, your membership chair, your secretary, your treasurer, all the positions should be rotating out for fresh perspectives and for everybody to learn a little bit of what everything does. So if somebody has to leave the post, you're not all standing around going, oh no, so-and-so took care of it. Oh no. Yeah. So share the responsibility, share the roles, and share the value and the benefit.
That's a good point, Sharon. I mean, and you think about it, how many times have you asked somebody, hey, would you like to be this position? And their reaction is like, oh, I could never do that. Like, oh, I'd never have the time to do that. And really, like Sharon was just talking about, it just takes really dispelling the myths and the rumors about this position and say, hey, this is really what it's all about. Practically speaking, here's the time commitment. And if that's too much, I got this other position here for you that's a little bit less, or a little bit, it's not continuous, but like one time here, one time there, that kind of thing. And you can really talk them past their hesitancy to get involved.
All right, what's next? We have some final thoughts, but before we get there, let's hit some of the questions in our Q&A. So we have, James says, talk about building the bench. If you have too many leaders, make more positions for them to fill. What a perfect segue, James, because we have something like that in our final thoughts.
Amen, Jim.
Ask individuals to personally be assistants to the martyrs. That's a very good point. Let's see if we cover all these things in our final thoughts. And Philios says, when it comes to succession planning, we may have individuals with the ambition to get engaged, but there may be a constraint. Good point. In getting their firms or agencies to support their involvement and allow them time to commit to engaging. So suggestions for that, Philios, is trying to get those smaller snippets of involvement if they can, and it may be on their own time. I know a lot of times, even in the consulting world, which is where my frame of mind is coming from, as a younger professional, I wasn't necessarily not encouraged, but I wasn't allowed to charge my time. It was kind of on my own. But then as I grew in SAME and my company realized the benefit, now I do get paid for those time commitments. So it's one of those things. There might be a personal commitment, and I'm sure that goes from a government perspective as well too, because I know that's also it is kind of on your own time sometimes. But the joke, around SAME is we're all getting paid the same to do this, right? Which is nothing other than the value benefit that we're all getting out of this on our own. Is you get to learn, and my big joke, and don't tell anybody here in my company that, but the big joke was, if my company ever decided to can me, which thankfully they haven't, I would have a huge realm, a wide pool of resources around me because I've been involved with SAME for so long. And I think that's very important. Don't tell your employer that benefit, but that's a benefit that you personally get. And if you don't get the support to go to these events on your own through your company, see what little pieces of volunteerism you can do without having to take away from your day job or night job, whatever the case may be. Find an area or find a job for those folks that want to help, but they can't commit 300 hours a year, but they can commit the 10 minutes like Joe had put in the chat earlier. So that would be my suggestion. I don't know, Matt, if you had anything else.
Hey, Sharon, I think you're spot on. And, from a leadership perspective, what I'll add is, if you know those people, particularly, I think Sharon's right, it's usually the young professionals that perhaps don't have that strong backing from their company yet to be able to bill hours to their involvement. So if you're a leader in your post and you know these people that are trying to get the backing from their company, perhaps find ways to show their company there's value, nominate them to attend a certain professional development workshop, leadership development program, show that this individual is getting value from SME. I know I did it as a COI chair. I had the opportunity. I knew some folks that were having a hard time getting the buy-in from their companies. So we wrote their company a letter, and a nice official letterhead talking how great their involvement is in SME, and just showing that, from my perspective, showing that military nexus into their involvement helped them get more buy-in from their employer. And then, like Sharon said, once their small involvement kind of showed dividends, if you will, to their company, they're able to do more. And I think it's the same on the military side as well. Particularly with our civilian employees in the federal service, it's hard for them to get away sometimes if their supervision aren't SAME members and don't understand the value. But then when they start bringing back the different leadership opportunities, different programs they're seeing, the development opportunities, their leadership starts seeing that, there is a benefit to this, and then get behind it. But as leaders, if you can kind of go above and beyond for those individuals to help show their employers how valued they are, I think it could go a long way to get them more involved.
Excellent. Thank you for that perspective. And then one last question from Eric is discussing how SAME is dealing with military on remote or short-term assignments where there is not a post or maybe only a field chapter. There's where some of those community of interest involvements can tie in. You don't necessarily have to be associated with a post. It's great if you can be, but if you are somewhere remote or somewhere not able, you can still provide a lot of input for those community of interests that you don't have to be associated with a post in order to do so.
Yeah, I think that's a great question too. And it is a challenge for military members. I've been a part of the Logis field chapter, which unfortunately I don't think still exists. And then we stood up the Kunsan field chapter in Korea, if any Red Devils on the call. And I hope that one's still going. I haven't heard anything recently from them. Eric would actually probably know, but it's tough because you get a constant flow of people. I think for those posts in particular, it's really important to try to tie in as many civilian employees as you can, so you get a little bit more continuity from the military members. And I know even in some locations like Kunsan, it's hard to get even civilian folks involved. So, yeah, what Sharon said, those are the opportunities when you don't have a good active post nearby. Even more reason to get involved at the COIs or other opportunities. I agree with Sharon.
So that will drag us in here to our final thoughts. And here, this is kind of my response to James, is never turn down a volunteer, right? If somebody puts their hand up, even if you don't have an immediate opening in that position, find a role to put them in. If they say they're willing to help, find a way to make sure they get that help in there so that they don't get discouraged from raising their hand. And I like the idea of having like a deputy to the martyr to kind of take notes and follow, see what they're doing, and then offer them help. Because, I do know the volunteer martyrism, but they could always use an extra hand, right? If they think they can get everything done, there's always something else that they just couldn't because of time commitment. So having somebody else help out, and then that would be a fantastic way to let them roll into that position as we want to try and roll out some of the martyr roles and let them move on to other roles. Actively seek out your replacement and future replacements. Most people just need to be asked. I gave the example at least 3 times in my SAME history. It was an ask was involved. And most of the time, it wasn't necessarily that I didn't think I could do it. It was, I just needed that little nudge, that little somebody just saying, hey, did you think about this? And that it's flattering, right? Somebody else thinks that I could do this position. And that means a lot to a lot of people. So you just saying the word, even if they don't say yes right away, if you mention it and then you let that sit a while and let them absorb the fact that you've given them the honor that you think that they would do a good job in that role. So make sure you reach out and ask a lot of people whenever you can, and then I'm skipping a step, but diversify your search. Actively seek out people that are outside your bubble. It's easy to touch the people that are really close to you and which ones can do it, but reach out beyond that and ask those, or the ones that are sitting in the back of the room. They've attended a lot, but maybe they didn't say a whole lot. Maybe they didn't, make sure you go and approach them and say, hey, what? I've seen you around a lot. Did you ever think about joining the board? Did you ever think about doing this? Make sure you're reaching out to everybody so that everybody feels included and is welcome to join the party, because that's really what it is.
Well, and along the same lines too, I think I've always used this motion when I talk about SME membership. It's like, not only am I going to go to the local post lunch, but I'm going to bring somebody along with me. And so I've always tried to use the opportunity where, hey, I'm going to get you involved in SME. And oh, by the way, we need you to be our new post secretary or our post programs chair. And, that's sort of an ask. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I don't do this in my official position. I know I'm not allowed to do that. But just giving those people, get them over that initial hesitancy to get involved. Like Sharon said, people are always shy. They just want to be asked. And then, quite honestly, like Sharon said, it's really an honor to get asked. Hey, somebody thinks I can do this. Like, somebody wants me, values me and my input in this organization to be the post treasurer or secretary, or thinks that I have a path in this post. But they just need to be asked. So I always do this and just bring them along, much like to a post meeting, but just get them over that initial hesitancy. And then you'll see that a lot of folks are really going to take off. I think particularly in the young professionals realm, I think this is key. And we put on there to challenge young professionals to lead early and often. I honestly think young professionals are a lot more bold than I was as a second lieutenant. I feel like there's just natural confidence of the next generation, and they want to get involved, and they have a tendency to act, and they want to get on with things. So challenge them to, don't just have a young member, or sorry, I'm going to get over it one of these years, a young professional. Don't just have a young professional as your young professional chair and your post. If you have one of those, challenge them to take on other roles, and then let them do it. See what they do. They're going to bring a different perspective. They're going to be able to relate to a whole different demographic, a whole different audience that perhaps you don't know just based on where you are in your career. So challenge them, and then let them, get out of their way and see what they do. And the bottom line here, this is all about deliberate development. I challenge you all, when you leave here, regardless of how big your post is, to reach out or pull together your more senior or tenured folks in your post. Perhaps if you have a fellow or fellows that that are looking to stay involved, and all fellows should be looking to stay more involved in SAME. But challenge them to come together and then as a cohort to reach out to some of your new members, talk to them about pipelines, and really do this deliberate development, mapping out this career path, if you will, through post leadership and national involvement. Because as we've talked about throughout this presentation, that deliberate development, that deliberate focus and attention on succession planning are really the key to not only maintaining momentum, but really getting your post to thrive over time. And regardless of who's in charge or who leaves or whatnot, your post is going to be just fine and continue to do great things.
All right. So look at there, 4:50. We're doing all right. Anybody else have any questions? I've been enjoying watching the chat, but let me tell you, this is like media overload. You got to be watching everything all at once. But the sad part is I don't get to see all of you. So I know you're all out there. So thank you for enjoying, putting things into the chat, keeping the conversation going. And it really is all about the people, right? So, asking everybody, searching out roles for yourself and for others is the way to go. And there's no denying that. And of course, I like Anne's, speaking of volunteering, sign-ups to volunteer at Small Business Conference is now open, and the link is in the chat. Because that's another awesome way. Not only do you get a cool shirt, and you get to, depending on the amount of volunteering you do, you get discounted registration. It's a great way to see behind the scenes too, and see all the work that the staff does to make these things go so well. So again, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. I don't know if anybody else had any final thoughts before we say thank you to our sponsors. But.
Hey, Sharon, I'm just going to jump in with one too from a military perspective, and I see that Lieutenant Colonel Graham Otten's on the call here and about to be a post president as well. And this just reminds me, there seems to be this perhaps ongoing dialogue on the military side, depending on which lawyer you talk to, about whether or not you can be involved in SAME and still be in the military. I tell you, I wish we could get beyond this, and we're gonna continue to work to get beyond anyone who's a naysayer on whether or not you can be a leader in SAME and a leader in the military, because I can't think of a better professional organization to help broaden and grow our military leaders than an organization like SAME that's not only personal development, but it's professional development and it's technical development as well. We all know SAME brings together the private public sector to solve our national security challenges. So how could you not sell that to military leaders as a great opportunity to get involved in? So for anyone on this call, and I hope your posts have vibrant members from the military side, please do encourage them to get over the stigma of whether or not you can be involved in SAME, because again, I can't think of a better organization to be involved in to grow and develop and broaden our military leaders. And hopefully you can challenge them and give them leadership positions in your post to, again, help build them on the pipeline as well. Because if you get them early as lieutenants and captains, as staff sergeants and tech sergeants, you can grow them into future SME presidents as well, and make sure we have that steady pipeline and that cross flow between the private and public sectors.
And of course, the token that you guys, there's about 100 people on here, is make sure you take this information back to your post and you share it, right? You encourage others to do the exact same thing that we're encouraging you to do. That's the best thing about getting to spread the word amongst everybody, right? So take the knowledge that you've learned in the first session today and the rest of this week with Post Leaders Workshop, and share it with your posts, share it with the other leaders, your membership. It's not an exclusive club, and we want you all to be a part of it. So I do have to say thank you to our session sponsors for Black & Veatch and Merrick. Thank you. We couldn't be doing this without them.
Thank you.
I do want to, so Sharon, I want you to give me a number between 2 and 2.
Awesome. I think that's all, Sharon. Yeah, thanks to our sponsors. Sharon, thanks for letting me team up with you on this. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And I'll just echo too what Sharon said. If you need to reach out to us offline, that's a beauty of SME as well, is everybody's approachable. So please let us know if you're interested in any other opportunity outside of your posts. Let us know too. Happy to talk through those and help build that pipeline for you as well.
Thank you, Matt. It was a pleasure. And for some reason, Matt can't hear Jill, but she said you need a number between 1 and what, Jill?
225.
1 and 25?
225.
Oh, 225. All right. 128.
Good number. Good choice.
Who is number 128? That is going to be Phil Hicks from the Northern Virginia Post.
I almost heard her.
Would you ask Matt to give me a number between 1 and 225?
Matt, can you give us a number between 1 and 225?
How about 98?
There you go. 98.
All right. Number 98 is the Kitty Hawk Post, and it's Joe Brink. So,
She's picking winners.
Yes, they are our Starbucks coffee break winners for the
Yeah, I can't hear it all.
Poor Matt. And now I'm going to ask Anne to come on because she has something special for everybody who has hung out till almost 5 o'clock East Coast time with us today.
What are they winning?
I have a
Do we
hard
know?
time stopping talking.
Oh, there's Anne. Yes.
Can you hear me though?
Can you hear her, Matt?
I don't think he can hear me.
I can hear. No, I can hear it.
me?
I can hear it. I can hear Anne now. Yeah.
Oh,
Fabulous. All right. That is even cause for more celebration. So we wanted to reward the folks who we actually had a great response in this session, over 100 people. So we will be looking at our session monitor statistics, and we are going to choose today, and spoiler alert, each day we'll be doing this, and we are going to give away a free registration for SBC plus, Jill doesn't know this, but plus hotel for 3 nights.
Whoa.
So, yes.
That's a good deal.
So
Wow.
we'll pick a lucky winner from our reports. So if you've been in attendance for the last session and this session, you may be the lucky winner, and actually we'll announce it tomorrow. So one winner per day.
Awesome.
And
Wow.
good luck to everyone.
And look, Charisse, it's 11 o'clock at night. That's right. For all of you all
Yeah,
over the world.
Charisse, I'm sorry you're not eligible because you won the free registration at JETC. Sorry, Charisse. One
That's
free
a huge-
Get it out,
registration
everybody.
and travel per person.
That's a huge prize. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yes.
And our volunteers are awesome.
Well, thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. We hope you had a great day and you learned some stuff that is going to help you and your post be more successful. We'll see you tomorrow again at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
You'll see me again. Lucky you.
You won't see me, but I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for leading your posts.
Yes. Thank you for all you do. And thanks, Matt. Thanks, Anne
Thanks,
and
Sharon.
Jill.
Bye, Anne. Bye,
Yeah.
Jill. Thanks.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.